Hi everyone, this is Nicole Schumann, social media editor of This Built America, and today we are with Jenny Everett, who's the CEO of Kelly Beekeeping and also known as the Walter E. Kelley Company. And we have a great chat in store today, not only about business and restarting business and trying new things in your business, but also about bees and their importance actually to manufacturing and to people as well. So hi, Jenny. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Awesome. Now, my first question is, before you started working at Kelly Beekeeping, did you have an interest in bees at all before your job now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in Vermont, specifically a town of Rutland, which has about 5,000 people. So we were basically situated between two farms. And my father was a manufacturing manager at General Electric. He pretty much has worked every shift, first, second, and third. He used to make the turbine fan blades for General Electric aircraft that they did. So between me, my brother, and my sister, we were growing up in a very rural area. Basically, there were only two things to do without television, which is be outdoors, whether it's chickens or bees, or go to school. And, for the most part, we spent most of our time outdoors instead of at school.
That's pretty cool. That's great. It's different, definitely a different way to grow up, than most kids nowadays. Um, what now? Bees are just so important in general. What do you think bees mean to the economy?
Yeah, bees are absolutely essential to our economy. They contribute over $15 billion in economic value. And unfortunately, there's a lack of awareness about the importance of bees, for whatever reason. But bees are the most essential link in our agricultural system today. One of every three mouthfuls that we eat is due to bees and their work. So we need to do as much as we can to save the bees. And it's not just the pollination and the food production. Right now, we are importing twice as much honey as we're producing domestically. And if you really want to benefit from a health standpoint from consumption of honey, you need to consume domestic honey.
Okay. I mean, I guess if people are looking to buy honey, what would be the best route for them to go? Farmers markets and those sorts of things?
Absolutely support your local hobbyists and local farmers. Pretty much all throughout the country, there are farmers markets, and the closer that you can get in terms of where you're buying your honey versus where you live, the better off you will be. So I definitely recommend supporting the local movement.
Are you guys seeing a bee comeback per se? I know in recent years they've talked about a decline of bees of certain species, but you guys really do a job as far as trying to curate better environments for bees. Do you believe that the bees are having a comeback?
We have done a lot to increase awareness, but still, bees and beekeeping is still under a dramatic threat. Some of you might be aware of colony collapse disorder, and it still contributes to bee deaths in the range of 30 to 50%. Some areas of the country, even higher than that. So for us, for the Kelly Company, we do what I like to call the three P's for bees, right? We focus on our product, we focus on partnerships, we focus on performance. So for partnerships, we partner with organizations such as WaterStep, where we literally put 5 urban hives. Typically you don't see a lot, you're seeing a lot more, but it's not enough. We need to get beekeeping in urban environments. We put 5 hives on top of the roof and donated the bees for them. Product-wise, we've come out with a screen bottom board, which is absolutely fantastic. Of course, I'm biased, but I think it's the best in the industry. And we have bee health products. Just like as humans, we take vitamins, we take supplements, bees need the same thing. They need help. And then finally, for performance, our company is all about education. We don't just put a product out there. We do a lot in terms of beekeeping 101 classes, beekeeping 202 classes, And also we have an outstanding field day, which is an all-day affair the first Saturday in June, where we bring in speakers and we focus on hands-on learning, because it is a hobby and it takes time and it takes an intellectual curiosity, and we want to make sure everyone is prepared.
If a person wants to get started in beekeeping, what are some of the things that they need to do?
Yep. First thing, you need to secure your bees, okay? After you've done all your reading, and trust me, in beekeeping, there's no one single source of truth. Everyone does have their own way, but get your reading down. Also, YouTube has a huge number of videos that you can watch on beekeeping, but secure your bees. You know, we sell our bees starting in December. You're not going to get your bees until April or May, but there are only so many bees. So the earlier that you can plan and prepare, the better. So once you've done your reading, once you've secured your bees, the next step is to get the equipment. And obviously, we are a broad line manufacturer. We are a one-stop shop. Everything that you would need, we have. You need to get your boxes. So we sell the hives, we sell all the protective clothing, and all the components to be able to get you started in beekeeping.
When you say secure the bees, to get bees, how do they arrive?
There's nothing like it in the world. So at 4 in the morning, basically we get a tractor trailer full of bees from a farm. And each package, actually, and I have one right up here, each package contains 10,000 bees. Okay, and it's literally just a wooden package about this size. Okay, and it contains one queen in a queen cage with a few nurse bees. All right, and that's what you pick up, and that's what you use to install in your hives.
Interesting. Are there, where do the bees come from?
Mm-hmm. The bees come from farms all throughout the United States. Our particular farm is in Georgia. So we've been with them for over 20 years. It is a very long-standing relationship. And, you know, beekeeping is a challenge, but I'll tell you, you know, raising queens is even tougher. So we're very, very fortunate that we have a family-driven farm that helps us.
If an average person wants to help out the bees but doesn't want to get into the beekeeping, what would you suggest for them to do?
Yep. There's a couple things that you can do in addition to buying and supporting other hobbyist beekeepers, whether it's purchasing their honey or their pollen or their wax. You can also make sure that you're not using pesticides. In particular, things like Roundup. The more natural that you can go, the less chance that you're going to harm bees that have come either into your yard or your area to forage. It's no different than a lot of things where if you're providing a natural environment, it goes a long way. And it doesn't take much. If you have 2 acres, plant some clover, right? Plant a couple of things that you know are bee friendly, that will create a great environment for the bees to forage off of. Doesn't mean that they'll come. Bees do what bees do, right? So they may not come to you, but at least you know you're doing your part.
Right, I've talked to several people, especially in the last few years, that have had things like tomato plants or certain vegetable plants, fruit plants that haven't grown any fruit or vegetables. And I mean, is part of that the fact that they're just not getting pollinated?
It could very well be. There are a number of things that could affect that, but if you're not seeing honeybees, right, on a plant that attracts honeybees, I would look at, is there a huge, massive acreage of corn nearby? Whenever I see, and this is what happened to farming over time, you went from small farms to huge monolithic farms, single crop farms. And in order to make that work, to make the yields work, farmers have now used what's called neonicotinoids. And neonicotinoids is a specific form of pesticide that's implanted in the seed. So the pesticide grows throughout the plant, okay, as the plant grows. And these type of pesticides really damage the bee's central nervous system. And we don't have any concrete scientific proof that that is the cause of colony collapse disorder in the United States. But what I will say is that the European Union has recently banned those pesticides. And as well, a farm next to us sprayed, and we ended up losing over 6 of our own hives within 24 hours. So I think anecdotally there is a case for neonicotinoids impacting the bee population in the U.S.
It's ironic because the farmers need the bees, to get everything growing, but in the end, they're, lessening their lives or just making them disappear, which is interesting.
Yeah, and it is a large problem, and together, we can't go the blame route, right? Right, the farmers are the cause of the bees dying, and trying to help the bees, creates difficulties for the farmers. What we need to do is, as a whole, as a community, say, how can we improve everything agriculturally in the United States? Because right now, bees are actually trucked cross country, and it's something that's just amazing to see all these hives on a trailer bed going to California, pollinating, for the production of almonds, which is one of the largest economic impacts to California. Or they get transported up to Maine for the blueberries. So to me, if you're transporting honeybees, it's important. And I think as a community, we need to do more.
That's interesting. I never realized that you could be driving down the thruway and there's a truck of bees next to you.
Yeah, yeah. You might not want to get too close because even though they're contained, you'll attract hitchhikers. And you can several hives just off of the hitchhikers from the bees that are traveling across country.
Interesting. I know a lot of some people are afraid of bees because of stinging and those sorts of things. Are there, you say honeybees, there's obviously different species that, do different things. What can people look out for?
Yep. And honeybees almost get a bad rap because people assume if that you've been stung by a honeybee, and that's not necessarily true. Honeybees, by their nature, are not aggressive insects, right? So if you're, as a child, if you're running about and, you stepped on something, I can tell you that's not from a honeybee. That's most likely a yellow jacket or something of that nature. There's a huge difference a honeybee sting versus other insect stings. Honeybees typically only sting when they're in the protection mode. If you're disturbing their hive, you do something that is a threat to the queen. They're not like the other insects that we have that are far more aggressive.
Moving to the business side, you haven't been with Kelly Bees that long. What has changed for you during your tenure thus far?
Yeah, the biggest thing is we're just going through an explosive period of growth. And with that growth, we've had to hire a tremendous amount of people. And we are a family-driven company. We're in a very rural town. And what we want to make sure is that with growth, we don't lose the fabric of who we are, because people are the foundation of our company. And we need to make sure that our values continue all throughout this growth period.
Is it hard to find people to fill the positions?
It is absolutely hard to find people to do what we do because we've been around since 1924. We're on our 90th anniversary, and there's a lot of knowledge, a lot of time, a lot of product development that has gone into the Kelley company over those 90 years. So bringing in someone new creates a educational environment, a training environment. So we're trying to ramp up as much as we can with those resources to set people up for success.
If someone was interested in going into, your line of work, into a business like yours, what would you suggest for them to study at school or to be involved with?
I'm a big believer in a liberal arts education because I can't tell you what's going to impact this company today, tomorrow, 10 years from now. I want people who can think, who can be intellectually curious, and third, people who roll up their sleeves. So learn what you want to learn, be passionate about it, and roll up your sleeves by getting a few hives while you're at it.
So they don't necessarily have to be, horticulture majors or, entomologists or, things like that. Really, anyone can learn, beekeeping and those sorts of things.
Yes, yes. Anyone can learn beekeeping as long as you have a curiosity to do so, a desire to do so. If you're not open to learning, then it's probably not a good fit. But I've found for most people, beekeeping is addicting. Once you take, that little bit of buzz, pun intended, you're hooked.
What is something that you wish, some advice that someone would have given you starting out when you took over the company?
That's a tough question. I think the best answer for me for that is, what is the difference between being right and winning? And sometimes those two things are not the same. You can be right, but sometimes if you're trying to win, that's not the best long-term course. So I wish someone had told me, sometimes it's good enough just to be right.
That's neat. I like that. I haven't heard of that before, but it makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, as far as, for Kelly Bees, what is coming up in the future? What do you guys see for the next few years? What's your plan?
Yep. We have a huge plan, and I call it the BHAG, right? Big, hairy, audacious goal, but we actually call it the Bee Hairy Audacious goal. We're rolling out to over 1,000 stores in the next 3 months. So, you go into your farm supply store, whether it's Rural King, Menards, Fleets, Tractor Supply, say you go in there to get some boots. Well, I hope you walk out with a beehive.
Wow. So were hives available before in stores before you took over, or was it just, an online or a catalog business?
Yeah, you got it. It was just an online and direct business, catalog business.
Wow. So that,
So,
yeah, that'll definitely help grow the company quite a bit.
yes.
Uh, Awesome. And I guess, as far as, do you have anything else to say regarding, beekeeping or bees or the company or, your feelings on the subject?
Yep. Whether you're in beekeeping or business in general, doesn't matter what you're in. It all comes down to people. Every business has HR, IT, manufacturing, sales. If you want to grow, if you want to improve people's lives, empower them, set them up for success, because everything else is just tactics.
Well, that's great. Well, your employees do an amazing job, and you guys are doing an amazing job. And, we hope the best for you to continue your growth and to just, help the bees keep repopulating and working. And, it's very important. So thank you so much for everything that you do. And thanks for joining us on this call.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.